In another segment of our virtual tour of the Pulaski area, we will be discussing the 1933 bank robbery of the Pulaski State Bank, which took place here on the site which is now Brad's service station. On November 27, 1933, two men wearing colored goggles to conceal their identities and brandishing pistols entered the Pulaski State Bank and ordered the staff and customers to the floor. In front of the bank, one of the robbers ordered Tony Efta, a bank cashier, and Stanley Konopka, a customer, to the floor. In the office area and in the back, a second robber encountered Edward Guska, the assistant cashier, and Genevieve Peplinski, the bookkeeper, and ordered the couple to lie on the ground. Bernard Lentowski, a 24-year-old teller, made the mistake of entering the bank during the robbery and was held up along with everyone else. Now, with 9 townsfolk under wraps, the two robbers quickly emptied out the teller drawers and the vault, taking $3,000 with them. As they made their escape, they encountered Jerome Jurok, an express delivery man who was bringing another $1,000 to the bank. The robbers snatched Jurok's bank bag and ordered him at pistol point into their blue Packard sedan. With a hostage now, the duo drove out of town towards Angelica. Near the village line, they let Jurok go and made their escape with $4,000 from their brazen daylight heist. The getaway car was later found in a ditch outside Iola, abandoned by the thieves. The robbers were later identified as Maynard Martin and Earl Wing, both of Shiocton. They were both petty criminals with histories in the state reformatories and prisons. Wing, age 27, was a career criminal who, it seems, used his time in prison to expand his contacts in the criminal underworld. Martin, who was 23, had 2 days prior from the robbery quit his job as a farmhand for Charles Singer, father of Walter Singer, president of the Wisconsin Milk Pool. In preparation to the robbery, the men had traveled to Kaukauna, where they met Frank Howley, who they bought this nickel-plated Smith & Wesson .38 caliber pistol from. The pistol itself dates from 1910. They also made a trip to Oshkosh, where they stole the blue Packard sedan they used in the bank robbery. After the robbery, Wing went back to Shiocton, but authorities in Brown County were closing in on him, as he had a history of robbing banks. He was involved in the 1928 Auburndale State Bank robbery, along with his twin brother Lyle. In addition to this, Wing was linked to the stolen car and the pistol, and most damning of all was that Wing had in his possession several large old bank bills that were the sort taken during the bank robbery, along with newly packed ones. 3 weeks after the robbery, Wing was taken into custody and charged with the robbery. As for Martin, he fled south, way south. Several days after the heist, Martin bought a new car in Appleton with a $75 down payment and headed to Florida. He was suspected of being involved in the robbery even then, as police were looking at Wing's associates. Martin was later positively identified by Jerome Jurok as one of the two bank robbers. Martin made it all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where a burned-out headlight on his new car led to a traffic stop by one of the local cops. After Martin got tough with the officer, he was taken into custody. Only in booking did the authorities learn that Martin was wanted in Wisconsin for the Pulaski State Bank robbery. At the time of his arrest, Martin had $60 on him and had made several new purchases of clothes and, of course, the car. By the end of December, authorities from Brown County had traveled to Tennessee and returned with Martin. The trials for Martin and Wing took place in March of 1934, and after bringing witnesses in from Pulaski, New London, Oshkosh, and Shiocton, both men were given lengthy prison sentences, 15 years to 20 years, to be served in the state prison at Waupun. Both men sought pardons and clemency in 1937-38, but were denied. After prison, Martin seems to have fallen off the radar, but not Earl Wing. As mentioned earlier, Earl Wing was a career criminal whose run-ins with the law started when he was a teenager. A conviction for auto theft in 1924 led to a 3-year prison stint. Prior to the heist in Pulaski in 1933, he was named as a suspect by a jailhouse snitch in the Auburndale State robbery in 1928. $5,000 and $21,000 in securities were taken in that heist. While authorities were looking at Wing for Auburndale, he was in jail in Wapaka awaiting trial for armed robbery of the Earl Dennison Saloon in Bear Creek Center. Wing's brother Leo was also involved in that robbery. It is believed that Earl Wing told his father, Edward, where he hid the Auburndale loot, but when authorities checked the location, they found only disturbed earth and the empty hole on the Wing farm. Earl Wing must have made a deal with the authorities in 1929 over Auburndale because he didn't serve any jail time for the bank heist, even though he confessed to being the getaway driver and knowing the location of the loot. Instead, he was convicted of the saloon robbery and sentenced to 3 to 4 years in Waupun. After his release, he committed the bank heist in Pulaski. Paroled in 1944, Earl Wing was back to his old tricks, this time in custody for robbing the First State Bank in New London. This time, Wing faced federal charges as the bank was part of the Federal Reserve System. Rather than deal with local law officers, Wing had to deal with the FBI, who found the looted banknotes hidden in the lining of Wing's hat and coat. Wing was convicted of the first bank heist in May 1945 and sentenced to 5 years in the federal prison at Leavenworth. With an early release, federal prison didn't change Wing. In 1939, now 40, he was convicted of robbing Bernard Peacock's Tavern in Shawano, along with an ex-con, a killer named Thomas Sweeney, he met in Waupun years before. For the Peacock robbery, Wing got 3 to 20 years sentence in Waupun. Fate finally caught up with Earl Wing in 1960 when he and 2 others botched a bank heist in Nichols, Wisconsin. On February 28, 1960, as Earl Wing acted as the getaway driver, one of his partners, Leonard LePay, entered the Nichols State Bank with a shotgun, intent on robbing the place. Unknown to LePay, an assistant cashier, Darrell Hahn, moved behind a bulletproof barrier and retrieved a Luger pistol. Aiming the gun squarely at LePay, Hahn ordered him to leave or he'd shoot. LePay thought wisely and fled back to the getaway car, along with Wing and LePay's girlfriend, Anne Schley. They tore out of Nichols. At this time, Hahn had run out into the street, firing several shots at the battered 1948 Cadillac getaway car. The trio eventually got back to the Wing farm, where the car had a flat, maybe from a stray bullet. The undersheriff in the area, Donald Heinrich, knew of Wing's criminal past and thought to check up on him. Heinrich picked up Wing and drove him back to the bank to see if anyone could identify him as the gunman. When no one could, Heinrich returned to the farm with Wing, but noticed the battered Cadillac that matched the description of the getaway vehicle. He quickly took Wing into custody, and hours later, Wing's accomplices were arrested as well. Earl Wing was found guilty of the botched Nichols robbery in June of 1960 and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Pulaski was just a way stop for Earl Wing on his journey into his life of crime, a career that spanned nearly 40 years and covered Shawano, Brown, Outagamie, Wapaka, and Wood counties in Wisconsin.